What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. As always, I am Camtastic, and this is In Response, where every week three, sometimes four, sometimes zero friends gather around their desks and update you on the goings on in the cEDH world and our personal journeys throughout the format. Joining me this week are my co-host Nico, aka Mexer Delight. How you doing, Nico?
Doing awesome. Ready
Eh,
for another episode.
hell yeah! And Julian, the magician MTG. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, doing great. Ready to fire this one out.
Awesome. Remember, guys, you can always tune in here live on Twitch every other Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Or if you happen to miss out on the live show, don't sweat it. You can watch us later on YouTube or give us a listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts. But now it's time for the show. All right. Today we are going to be talking about tEDH versus cEDH. Correct, Mr. Mexidelight?
Yeah. So, for those who might not know, cEDH, competitive Elder Dragon Highlander, competitive commander, and tEDH is just tournament style. So, replace competitive with tournament. So, still competitive, but in an actual organized, distinguished tournament setting where there's a judge, prizing, tournament organizer, most likely at an LGS or some other establishment, something like that. But an organized event versus just a casually competitive play group. So very big difference actually, whether people realize it or not.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you're with your buddies, you guys are playing cEDH because you guys just want to play all the best cards. You don't want to worry about a bracket system or anything like that. Yeah, that's cEDH. That's bracket 5.
Mm.
But really, there's a secret bracket which I feel is bracket 6, and that is tEDH because now you are 100% focused on the best cards for the meta for a tournament setting where you're expecting, for example, like half the field to be blue farm, the other half to be to be Kinnan. So
Or a lot of
there,
Krark shenanigans, huh?
yeah, Kark, Rograk, like those are the commanders you're going to be seeing a lot. Whereas in your local, you'll probably see, you'll see Atalis, you'll see five color Sisseys. I mean, yes, they're good commanders. Yes, you'll see them in a tournament setting, but you're more or less, if you're coming from a 60 card format, you're pre sideboarding for these specific meta decks, these top decks.
Who's
So
your guest over there, Cam?
Oh, sorry. Beans is used to sitting on my lap while I play Spell Table, so he decided to move from the futon and jump up over here.
Nice.
Yeah, he
so uh, so looking at some cEDH to tEDH differences. So first off, coming from a judge perspective and coming from a competitive standpoint, we utilize the IPG and the MTR. The IPG is the infraction procedure guide. So there's no more like oopsies. There are now penalties. So if you draw an extra card, there's going to be a warning, which is a form of a penalty, which is a slap on the wrist. But you do that too many times, you could be getting a turn skip. And that's what the MTR, which is the Magic Tournament rules, have adapted for multiplayer formats. There is now an addendum for that so that we can incorporate tournament rules for the format that we love and that we're here to play at its highest level. So just be aware. You guys can always find the IPG and the MTR with the addendums online. Just search it up, and if you want to, you can read about it.
So, a question on that, magician. What's it take to get disqualified? I know there's a lot of people out there, at least I've heard in chit chat and in the tournament settings, that people are afraid they're going to get warnings and or a DQ. So like, a couple warnings I'm sure happens with players every now and then. Maybe it's a newer player, maybe it's a player who's got kind of an ulterior motive type of thing, but what's it really take to get disqualified from a tournament?
Honestly, it's it's a lot of if you get the same warning in the same situation. So if you have multiple warnings, it's kind of like in soccer where you can get multiple yellow cards, and then you get your red card for your ejection. It's similar to that. Competitive 60 card format players know the same. It's the same thing for them. Um, if you commit fouls in the same areas, you will accumulate into a disqualification, or in some extreme cases, like raging. Honestly, if you if you stand up because someone did some sort of spite play, or someone bolted your bird turn one, and all you had was a forest in your 4-color Atraxa deck, and you get salty on them, unsportsmanlike conduct, and that is grounds for disqualification right there.
Hmm.
So it can be as simple as just drawing extra cards, or looking at extra cards,
What
getting a
about
few different. Go ahead.
what about missed triggers? I feel like
That
that's the most common thing that I've seen is
yeah,
people missing triggers.
that was one that was what the third one I was going to go over was, yeah, missed triggers. Missing triggers is something that the whole table will be responsible for. But at the end of the day, it's your trigger. You are at first and foremost responsible for making sure that that stays up to date when it does happen. And so missed triggers is a common one that people can get multiple warnings for throughout the day. And yeah, to note, it's not just per game; it is for the whole day. So you can get one warning for a missed trigger in round one, and get a missed trigger warning in round three, and those will stack. So make sure you learn from your mistakes and learn from them quickly.
Yeah. What do you guys think are some of the most common missed triggers out there in your experience? Whether it's from you or people you've played against.
Fish,
Fish, yeah.
Ristic, Smothering Tithe.
Yeah, Esper
Yoshimaru.
Sentinel. Yeah, Yoshimaru.
Yoshimaru.
Couldn't help myself there. Yeah, you know, I've
Pack
found
triggers.
packed triggers, sure. I found in the casually competitive play, I don't really mind reminding somebody of their fish trigger or wristic trigger or something like that. But in a tournament setting, I will absolutely keep my mouth shut and not remind somebody of those triggers.
Yep, because it is a May. It is still important to be able to have the game state be correct. But as a player, it's a May trigger. If that player and the table misses it, it's missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I will remind people of their triggers if I'm in a tournament, if they are performing in priority order.
Hmm.
Sure. I guess it's also that's a good point, Cam. It could be situational. If somebody who is behind and could potentially be drawing into interaction to stop a win, then I'll probably remind them, like, "Hey, don't forget your heuristic trigger on this person who's going for a win, like spell cast type of thing." But if it's somebody in the lead, oh, I'll let them miss triggers all day.
I will always
And that's
remind the person behind me in priority order of their triggers because
Okay.
I want them to have interaction and I want to be able to sandbag my interaction. So
Sure.
mm,
I want them to be
mhm.
able to blow their interaction first. And so that way I can always look, heuristic trigger, you missed your heuristic trigger. Look to them, what do you got? You've drawn a bunch of cards, and then
Yeah,
I don't have to waste my interaction. But that's just, again, that's very circumstantial, and it all just depends on seed order. And there's a lot that goes into it when you're in a tournament that you just never think about until you get there.
Yeah. Good
yeah.
point.
So one other thing, one other point is points. Something that isn't primarily in the mindset of someone who plays cEDH, but in the person that plays tEDH is point system. So, Cam, do you want to go over how many points you get for a win? What do you get for a draw? And what do you get for a loss?
So the point system first is what we use to determine seeding and placement in the tournament. You get, generally speaking, tournaments do this differently. It depends on the TO or the tournament organizer themselves. But generally speaking, you get 5 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. So this has kind of stirred up a little bit of controversy in the tournament community because it does incentivize people to go for draws. if nothing else. Now,
Mhm.
in your games, you of regular cEDH, you are used to just you play the game till it's over. But when you're
Right.
timed, you can't do that necessarily. And so players will play to draws, and if they know that they can't win the game, then they will play to a draw. They will attempt to play to a draw. Now, I'm not necessarily saying slow play, which is something that we can touch on later or whatever. I'm just saying that they will play. Their out is now a draw. It is not winning the game
Mhm.
anymore, because they get some points. And at the end of the day, points are what gets you higher up in the leaderboards and the standings and what wins you prize. And that's really the differentiating factor between tEDH and cEDH is there's prizing involved. And when there's
Yeah.
prizing involved, it complicates things, and you have to really put structure to a format that is very loose and unstructured because of its nature of being a 4-player political format.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and when you're spending 30 or 40 or even $50 for tournament entry and you're now putting your own money into the pool to try and win some badass prizes, you want to be doing everything you can to make sure your chances of winning are the highest, right? And you're not going to tolerate, misplays or bad plays or spite plays or
Or take
whatever. Right?
backs.
Yeah, take backs. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let me take it back. No, no. You
Nope.
did that. Yep.
Yep, you took your finger off the chess piece. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were talking about draws and how that's kind of a tough topic. Nico, do you want to kind of give us maybe an example or two, or kind of go into maybe a benefit of a draw?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on this on our last episode, but one of the cards I've been deliberating on very heavily lately is Pact of Negation. I have experienced several times in the last weeks or months instances where people are using a Pact of Negation and it counters a spell and it stops a win attempt. But then, for one reason or another, they are unable to pay for that trigger on their upkeep. And so there was one instance where it was absolutely a mistake. Somebody, a friend of ours, we were in a pod, and actually Cam was in that pod with me, where I went for a win attempt, and our friend, played a pact. None of us realized at that moment that he couldn't pay for the pact on his upkeep. In the end, it wouldn't have mattered because Cam, you had the counter magic to stop me anyway. But when we came back around, he goes to upkeep. He's like, "Oh shit, I can't pay for pact." And so, like, for me as the player who was stopped at winning, that was a real big salt lick. And even again in our last episode, we talked about no salt in these environments, but it's just kind of a shitty feeling all of a sudden. Um, but I've definitely seen people in these situations with pact and negation where knowing you can't pay for it on your upkeep, you can stop somebody's win attempts, or rather present, hey, I have this pact of negation. I can stop you from winning. I can't pay for it on my upkeep, so I'll lose, but you're still not winning. So therefore, one of these other two players has the potential to win. So you can present now in these tournament settings an opportunity for a draw, where if you can stop somebody from winning, nobody else can stop that person from winning except you. Then everybody can do what's called an ID, or an intentional draw. And I've seen that happen several times recently. And it's not even necessarily with pact of negation. It can happen in several different instances, but what's been most common for me recently is the pact scenario.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
forcing the draw, as we just covered with the point system, still gets you 1 point instead of 0 points. So in a
Right.
tournament setting, 1 point is better than 0 points, and that can get you in what's called the bubble, where you can possibly, based on your rankings throughout the rest of the day, get into like that eighth or ninth or 10th position of the top 10 for a tournament or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Another card I've
Points are
used.
points.
Yeah, points are points at the end of the day. Another card is Psych Rift. That's a common one used to an overloaded
Yeah.
Psych Rift is another common one
Mhm.
used to force draws because you're just telling everybody like, hey, I'm gonna cast this Psych Rift, reset the board, and we're gonna go to time, or I'm gonna take away your win attempt. Or so this is this
Mhm.
is pretty much me presenting a draw because it's gonna take us all so long to get back in this game that it's done.
Yeah, that brings up two things. I mean, the first quick side story, Cam, you and I were playing on Spell Table earlier this week, and we had a great game. It was a complex game, crazy stacks left and right. Uh, 2 hour plus game, and all of a sudden, one of our buddies throws a Psych Rift overloaded on end step, and we're all just like, oh, our brains are melted already, like to reset everything. And we're just like, Let's just call it a draw, guys." It was like 8 o'clock at night. We're all hungry for dinner, wanting to hang with our significant others. So like we could have kept playing, we could have kept going. Probably would have taken another half hour or more, but we just said nope. Let's draw with a Psych Rift on the stack type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like once you start like it draws became really apparent to us like obviously when we started playing events and stuff, but once we started tracking win rates, these became
Mhm.
important. These regular cEDH games became important to us. And so we
Yep.
will accept draws to so that it doesn't affect our win percentage in the same way where we want to bubble in and such. Um, so we've been, and it's good practice for presenting draws in tournaments and learning when to accept and when not to accept draws.
Yep. Yeah, because someone could be presenting a draw and for your win attempt, and you're looking down at your hand, and you've got maybe 2 or 3 pieces of interaction, and so you can say that's your opportunity to say no, I'm not going to take the draw. I'm not going to accept it because a draw does have to be unanimous with the table. It can't just be between the two people that is trying to go for the win and the person who's trying to stop it. It has to be unanimous for the table. So
Point, yeah.
if you're looking down and you've got 1 or 2 pieces of interaction and you take it upon yourself to say, no, I'm going to try for it. I've got interaction. And now player 3 and player 4 are like, well, I've got this piece. There's another draw. There's another draw option on the table. So then you can say, no, I'm okay. Here's this piece of interaction to stop that person. Now seat 4 says, I've got one more. And now you're like, okay, well, now shit, my back's against the wall. All right, fine. Let's fuck it. Let's draw.
Yep. Yep. So the other point we kind of glossed over, and I'll come back to, is the time constraint. So in your casually competitive and play, there's no time limit. You and your buddies can sit and play a game for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, doesn't matter. But in a tournament, typically you're 60 to 80 minutes, depending on the number of players, the time of day, that kind of thing. So, some games can go as fast as a turn 2 win, occasionally even a turn 1 win. Um, but there are definitely games that take an hour or just over an hour. And so that's where that time constraint comes in. And so that's what Cam, I think you were kind of referring to, is it's better to, towards the end of a round, instead of necessarily playing for a win, play for that draw instead. And so again, some people are kind of upset about this aspect of playing towards the draw and not just going
Mhm.
for the win.
Yeah, and if you feel like you and your group are ready to kind of get into the tournament scene, start implementing a timer. You guys can start at the average is 80 minutes. If you want to start off at 90, you can. Some tournaments do go 90 minutes. But if you want to like go hard mode and try to jam as much as you can, put yourself on a 65-minute timer. Typically, stores that are doing tournaments throughout the week, during the weekdays, they'll do tournaments that are 65-minute rounds. So if you want to up your abilities to learn how to play in a tournament setting, just put a timer on someone's phone and go for 65 minutes so you can get a win before then or present a draw.
It's also good practice just getting more games in too. If you're limiting yourself to, 60-minute games or so, like you're going to get more games under your belt. On a Friday, we're spending, 5 or 6 hours after work playing, that's 5 or 6 games right there, as opposed to if we let each one drag on for 2 hours, we're getting two, maybe three games in.
Mhm.
Right.
I do feel like on our average Friday night at the LGS, we're getting maybe 3 or 4 games because there's no time limit. Because you get the 1 or 2 that go quick and the 1 or 2 that go pretty long for sure. That mid range hell is real right now for sure.
It is.
Yes, it is. So when looking at doing tournaments, what are some things that you guys bring with you um,
My deck.
on tournament day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deck, tokens, dice, notebook.
Yeah.
No, but I think what you're getting at is like how to prepare for the day, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So depending on the drive distance or anything, I mean, I've been in a few scenarios where it's a several hour drive, and it could be an 8 or 10 hour long tournament day. So maybe you drive the night before, But it's always good to have a good night of sleep beforehand. Make sure you're well rested. You're not, stressed and strung out or anything like that. Uh, my experience: drink plenty of water and have some
Yep.
power food. Eat a good breakfast because typically you're not getting a lunch break. So you want to have some
Yep.
snacks in your bag, eat a good breakfast. Again, the superfoods type of thing. But lots and lots of water. I know people are slamming energy drinks left and right these days. Those are helpful, but you want to stay hydrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I say to piggyback on the drink thing, stay away from sugar because sugar will make you crash. And like even if you're taking like energy drinks, like I'm sure if you notice, a lot of people drink sugar-free energy drinks, and that's the reason is like I drink sugar-free Red
Sugar
Bulls
free.
because I don't crash off of those. Like it's much better. So sugar is really a lot of what causes crashes. So if you're drinking
Mm-hmm.
sodas and energy drinks and stuff, you're gonna feel it after a round or two. I
Yep.
personally like to smash a 5 hour energy in the morning because
That's what I prefer, honestly, over any kind of energy drink. 5 hour energy. Yep.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I concur. I've seen the tournament grinders do 8 hour, 10 hour days, and by round six they are whooped
Yeah.
because they didn't prepare. They were out the night before. Like if it's an out of town tournament, they're out the night before, up until midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever, partying or preparing, even like whatever, testing hands and stuff. But sleep is very important. Eating a good meal, like Cameron said, eating a good breakfast, having some snacks in your bag, and constantly having like a refillable water bottle, and having a way to refill that throughout the day.
Yeah. I
Also, if
my
you're traveling, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say my go-tos are like a trail mix of beef jerky and like a fig bar or similar type of thing. I always keep those kinds of things in my bag.
What about these nuts?
I
nuts
guess
are
I
a great
walked right
source of
into that
protein.
one, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I when I went to Fishbowl, I wasn't competing in it, thank God, but I was pretty hungover the next morning, and I was like, thank God I'm not competing in this event today because I went out with it was a good time. Saw a bunch of people from LA, a bunch of other tournament grinders and stuff. We all went out drinking and stuff like that. But as fun as it all can be, because that's what tournaments are about, is having fun, seeing people that you know and stuff like that. But just just be cool
Making new
about it.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go out drinking and whatnot, or even if you're not, in the morning or before you go to bed, smash a liquid IV. Keep yourself hydrated
Mhm.
throughout the day. Liquid IVs
Yeah.
work miracles.
Even at
Yeah.
the MagicCon Vegas event, I know we went with a big group of friends, and there were some people that wanted to go out, and have some beers and stuff. And personally, I was like, nope, guys, we're here for MagicCon. I just want to get some sleep, make sure I can withstand a 10-hour day at the con.
But it's Vegas, baby.
Yeah,
L7
I've done
weenie.
the Vegas thing before. I don't need to do it
Oh, that's
again.
right. Because you're an old man.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
Us young bucks can hang, for a beer or two.
Yep.
The irony was Nico outdrank most of us. He just did it at the Airbnb.
Exactly. See, I have my slow pace. I'll drink all of you guys, no problem.
Slow and steady.
Um, well, I
So what
mean,
about
no one.
what about pricing, huh? Prizes at a
Oh,
tournament.
well, I was going to the other end of that, but yeah,
Well,
let's talk about doing well.
yeah.
I don't know what that's like, so you guys can go ahead and take over this segment.
Well, I can
So,
tell you, I've not won any significant prize in a commander tournament. When we were doing some RCQs a year or two ago, I did get second place and got some cool prizing off of that. But not been fortunate enough to get in the top ranks of a cEDH tournament yet.
well, I'll take this one then, guys. So, no, pricing can vary. Sometimes when you have your local tournaments, you'll have like store credit or packs or something. But on these bigger ones like Fishbowl or the Summit or I don't know, I can't think of a lot of the East Coast ones, but sometimes they have large prizes. Like you can get duels or just other reserve list cards or judge promos, things like that. So when it comes to pricing, like you want to make sure that it's worth your drive for whatever the prizes are, because you have to keep in mind your gas, your entry fee, whatever food you're gonna have, all of that stuff. So if it's worth it to you for the prizes that they're offering, great. But otherwise, just make sure that you're making the trip cost efficient for you too. Don't put yourself out for something that might not be worth it. But prizes are awesome. I like winning.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to admit, personally, I'm not a big fan of store credit all the time. I would rather take some sealed product or specific like reserve list or fancy cards or something like that. Store credit, I can get behind it if it's like a smaller LGS or something, but big name tournament, I want some cool old school things that are rare cards to find.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, our the one that the tournament for the All Valley we just had. I mean, we were talking about it a lot, but there was an LED, Grim Monolith, Gilded Drakes, Guru Forest, APAC Plains. Like these are cards that you probably wouldn't be able to afford on a normal day. So those are definitely very very attractive cards to try and put your hat in the ring for.
Yeah.
But where there are some highs, there are some lows. And sometimes you just feel like you're defeated. You're 0-3 in a 5-round Swiss tournament, and you gotta say the dreaded 4-letter word, drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Dropping can be. Go for it, Cam.
none of us here are saying drop. Like we all just want to put that on the table first. I think I can speak for everybody here is just play it out, man. Like just play out the tournament.
Yep.
Like same thing when like I go golfing and like I have a shitty day. Like I paid to be there. Like I paid to play those holes. I'm not going to skip out early. Like you paid to play those rounds. Like get your money's worth. But
Exactly.
so
Get
go.
the experience.
Yeah. So sorry, Julian, you're going to go into more detail about that, but I just wanted to start us off by saying like, yeah, we don't want you to drop. Play your magic.
Yeah. What I was just gonna the perspective I was gonna throw out there for dropping is don't be a dick. Don't just leave. Um, tell somebody.
Yeah, that's not
Tell
dropping.
Where's
yeah.
so and so? Where'd they go?
Yeah, that's
Who
deserting.
Yeah,
who
That's
was
not
because
dropping.
yeah, because
Yeah.
as a TO, like someone dropped, they didn't tell anybody. They're gonna do the common courtesy, right? They're gonna spend 5 or so minutes being like, hey, like who came with so and so? Does anyone know where so and so is? They checked the bathrooms, they checked outside. Are they at the subway next door? Like, where the fuck are they? Just be a good guy, be a good person, and just be like, hey, I'm having a shitty time. I live an hour away. I got to drive home, so drop me. Sometimes there's pity packs for like local weekly stuff, so sometimes you can still get a prize for coming, but for the big tEDH tournaments, dropping you're completely removing yourself from any source of income from that tournament. So just do the common courtesy thing and make sure you tell the TO or the judge that you're dropping.
Yep. I'm with Cam on this one personally. I don't ever like to drop. I've paid for this event. I want to play it through because at the bare minimum, it's more experience. You've got the opportunity to meet different players, see different play styles, see different decks, different tech that you
Exactly.
haven't thought of or been exposed to before. So that experience is what's going to make you a better player to hopefully then do better in the next tournament that you play in and not be back in that same scenario of wanting or even needing to drop.
Yeah, and in response to that, uh, also in those lower brackets where you might be, you're not the only 0-3 or whatever, like those people might be playing fringe decks. That might spark something in you that would be like, oh, that's really cool. I might try and build that deck too. Or, oh, that's a really sweet combo. We're in the same colors. Maybe I should try something like that. And then you can start a conversation and about the decks and stuff and what the combos are that you haven't seen before. You might be sharing a color with, and maybe make a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in response to that, something I forgot to touch on when we were talking about point system is that your opponent's win percentage is what is a tiebreaker. So if you have somebody tied with you in the point system, it matters who your opponents have played. And if they played somebody with higher points, then their wins are going to be worth more. And if you beat them, it's going to be worth more than somebody who has played opponents who have been losing. So by you dropping, to bring this back to dropping, you are not giving your opponents the best chance at winning, which I mean, in your head, you may be thinking, like, I don't want to give my opponents the best chance of winning. But at this point, you've lost your match. Let's give everybody, like, if you can go and win one more match, you've just increased somebody's win percentage. If you dropped, you've just affected their whole win percentage and probably bubbled them out. So this goes with don't be a dick. Like, just be considerate of other people that have spent their time there just like you have.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
sometimes it could be one of your buddies that you lost to, and you dropping, is gonna, just like Cam said, it's gonna lower their win percentage, and you don't want to do that to one of your buddies, especially if they were the one who drove. They can leave your ass there.
Right.
And I'm just
Motherfucker, you
sitting here
got me
thinking, like, when would I do that to you guys?
the.
Never.
Sure. Remember how Cam starts every podcast, says sometimes 0 friends.
Right. Well, so speaking of tournaments, I think we just found out yesterday, there's another tournament here locally in the next, what is it, early September, something like that.
Yeah, we got about 5 or so weeks,
Yeah.
5.5
And
weeks.
this one's tied to some charity as well. So you guys can bet that in our future episodes, we'll be talking about some more tournament prep and deck tech and shouting that out as well.
Some more
Getting some interviews.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Or interview shorts and learning what other people are playing as well.
Definitely. Well, guys, I think this was one of our shorter ones, but any last minute things that you want to say or just emphasize on going from the differences from cEDH to tEDH, and maybe a little summary?
I'll just reiterate, don't drop. Play it out because you could end up winning a round or two, learn something you didn't expect, see a different deck you didn't think you would. But that's just my stance is it's not worth dropping. You've already paid to play. Keep playing.
Good. Cam?
Have fun. It's gonna sound lame as hell, but man, this is a game. We're just a bunch of grown ass men playing a card game. Like, at the end of the day, we're all losers, right? No, I'm just kidding. So just go out there and have fun, man. We're playing a game. Just, try not to get salty about it. Plays are gonna suck. Some plays are gonna be awesome. Don't, be a good sport about it. Just think of how you would feel sitting on the other end of that table, whether you're winning or losing, and just go play your game, man. Have a good time.
Yeah.
How about you, Magician? Your last words?
Yeah. I would say when you have some time, briefly look over the IPG, the MTR. It is a good read. It'll probably teach you some things that you didn't know. Also, try to emphasize doing some time restraints on your weekly matches with your buddies. Moxfield does have a timer in its features, so if you as soon as you start the priority squares with the spacebar, it'll start running timers. So if you just leave it on the first player, you can use that as a way to keep track of the time. And make sure that you take care of yourself in a tournament setting. Travel safe, drive safe, and eat, drink, and sleep.
Yeah.
Water. Drink
I'll
water.
I'll shout out again because not everybody's probably been following us since our first episode, but Magician here is an L1 judge. So if you guys have any judge specific questions, feel free to shout out in the comments, and I'm sure Magician will be happy to get back to you.
Yeah, I will do my best.
Good call.
All right.
Well,
Cam, you want to sign us out?
Yeah, I think that's going to do it for us this week. So I guess that's the show. Thanks for everybody who joined us here tonight. And make sure that you guys tune in to us every other Thursday here at twitch.tv/Camtastic for the live show. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and on Instagram and TikTok now. We appreciate all the support to everybody. Thank you all so much. And until next time, stay magical.